All right. Hello. All right. It's time for Through the Looking Glass of the 90s. And we've decided that for just kind of figuring out how to have seasons, we're just going to say that it's a new year and this is the second season. So, yay. All right. Episode 1, I believe, of the second season. So, it's
God, we're a franchise.
right, exactly. I'm like, just in case someone's, following along at home. I feel like I needed the break from the podcast, not because I didn't want to, not that I didn't need it. It's just that I was overloaded at work, and it's not a good job to be overloaded with. So I had to kind of wait until I was like in the mindset and in the space to come back. So there was that.
Always a fun time.
Yeah, always a fun time. Yeah. So I'm so used to being like, so how was your day? How was your week? What happened? But
life.
Yeah.
The slow, incredibly slow, trumpet beat. Basically, just how far can we go into this life and just trek along? But yeah,
and just trek along.
It's been stable.
That's good.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
That's how about you?
Oh, hold on. I did not go live correctly. There we go. Oh, okay. No, I did go live correctly. Okay. Let's see. This week has been a little slower than it has with other weeks, and months. And I'm happy for that. I've had time to see friends. I saw a friend today. We spent a couple of hours together just talking, and he's staying with his mom right now because he's going through a tough time. And his mom said, I heard him laugh today, and it's been like a week or two since I've heard him laugh. And there's just something in that, where you can just really just appreciate, I guess, aspects of that where it's like I kind of brought someone maybe back to life, and that's kind of cool,
I mean, that's all we can really hope for in the long run.
It really is that someone can bring you back to life when you're not. There's no other way to say that, so yeah, that's that. And then, I mean, some struggles, as we all do. I'm realizing that I don't remember high school. I remember some people from high school, like, let's say 10. And then everyone else, I'm like, can't tell you a damn thing about them other than that maybe they're nice. And I'm like, that's all that I have to say about every of my other classmates is didn't interact with them much, but I guess they were nice,
like I've interacted with them. I have had a portion of time being amidst you. So yes, I remember. I distinctly remember. I don't.
Right, exactly. It's like I don't remember you. Yeah, like it's nothing in particular. It's just that I was going through a lot and I was very reflective and I think quiet, and maybe outwardly I was outward. I don't know, like I was fine outwardly, but inwardly I was a mess. So, it's like, well, so unfortunately some of the NPCs or the people in the background, the background players, just kind of got lost to time, unfortunately. There's this classmate who is in New York, and I sat next to her every time that we were lined up alphabetically, and I'm like, that's the only time I interacted with her. So yeah, that's fun. I guess she was nice. God damn it. Like, it's so sad to just be like, how do I not have any memories of this person at all?
I mean, it's not even like, I think, like anything you can really like it's not a conscious like thing.
Uh-uh.
Like I don't think it's anything like that you theoretically could consciously do. It's just like some people just unfortunately just slip by the wayside. I don't think it's anyone's fault, but you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And also when people don't like post too much on social media, like it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, we know each other. Like, what do I know about this person? Oh my God, I don't know anything. But that also came up with my grandparents. I get an occasional box from my mom of my memories and other things, and I got a bunch of stuff from one of my grandma's husbands, but not my grandfather. And I was like, I actually don't know anything about this person other than that they went to college and were in the military. Uh, any other detail of their life is gone. I,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, kids, I don't know. I don't know when they were married. I don't know, like, was this the last person who she was married to? How long was she possibly married to this person? Like, a year, 2 years? Like, she has so much of his stuff. Were they married before my grandparents got back together? I don't know. It's so weird. And like, I don't know anything. I'm gonna guess that they were both in the same VFW, because I got a whole lot of stuff of his from his activity in the VFW, and it's so weird to me. It's so weird.
I don't know. Like the thing is with family, I think even with especially with like extended ones, it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's not much you can really do on it. It's just
Yeah.
everything just kind of like blends and it just falls through and it just
Well,
what can
and
you
like
honestly say?
when your grandma has been married like 4 or 5 times, you just end up that I have one of the ex's things, and that's about it. you know, that's I think that's all that. Yeah, I mean, I guess what little I have, then that's what I got. Anyway, all right. So when I listened to this one podcast about uh, like they talk about like pop culture, right? They always give you like a rundown. So the rundown of the Olsen twins. So the Olsen twins, they started in the the TV industry when they were months old, in the mostly 90s TV show. It did start in the late 80s, called Full House. And,
Yep.
now we're at the iteration of Fuller House. Um, the twins decided to not join that, which actually I understand really well because they were like, we were 10 by the time the show ended. And these people, they watched us grow up, but we don't have the same memories that they do. So we're just not, we don't feel obligated, which I'm like, yeah, I'm totally there with you. In the 90s, they also had albums, they had movies, and they had, I think, a fan club. They had all of these things. Once they were finished with Full House, they ended up going into, let's see, more movies, but also, and
Yeah,
another,
a lot of I remember right, a lot of just like direct to video kind of stuff.
right,
Maybe like one or two that like really went beyond.
right, that were actually in theaters. They also were in a couple of like one season TV shows. They started into makeup. I did at one point have a Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen like eyeshadow, because I like eyeshadow. I don't do blush or foundation. I just like eyeshadow and lipstick. And then also they went into fashion, I believe, and I think that even Walmart might have carried their items. So yeah, they
Yes, it did.
yep.
There was a large. They had a large. Yeah, they like it was like $1 billion in sales.
Yeah, like
Just
they like created, they expanded, just as we've talked about often on this podcast, is that you get famous at a certain time, and instead of just banking all on that, you diversify.
which is it was just smart on their part. Like they never fell into the trap of oh we're child stars and let's just milk it for everything will work. They
Right.
actually tried to push what they could do.
Right. Yeah. And I mean they have a long story, and I think I found out fairly recently that they have like kind of their own like agency or something like that. This I might be mistaken, but I believe they have their own agency, and I think they actually had like mentored or consulted the Sprouse brothers, who were also on Full House as the other set of twins. um, in Full House, the one that Jesse and Rebecca had, I believe that was Cole and the other
Dylan
Sprouse.
Sprouse.
Yeah, and Dylan Sprouse, yes. And I believe that they ended up kind of mentoring them into how they wanted to, kind of um, remove themselves from the spotlight, like kind of go back and forth and stuff. So,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that's the thing with the two of them is like they're the perfect like niche kind of like '90s. Um, I wouldn't say archetype, but definitely the '90s like niche
Mm-hmm.
kind of stars for the most part. It's like they had their thing where they were basically just twins, and they more or less just thrived off of that, off of the notoriety on that. But they decided to turn it into something for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And honest to God, like the second you said agency, my immediate thought was like, was there a detective agency that they had? And like literally, I tried looking up what their agency was, and literally all I can get is just the detective agency.
Oh no.
The
I think
detective
it's some
agency
sort of child actor consultation agency. Like I don't know if they would be like, oh, we advertise this. I think this is more of a we tap you on the shoulder and we make sure that you're okay. And that your rights as now, not teenage actors, but child actors. Which I've been listening to Zach to the Future and about Saved by the Bell and the differences in what they were able to do back then and what they with the reimagining that they do now with the children actors and that type of stuff. So
it's
it's
definitely
changed.
a different environment.
Yeah,
like it's a much different environment.
so much
honest, probably a more welcome one, just given the fact that I think child stores back then generally were run pretty ragged. And,
yeah, and that's why
like,
they wanted twins most often because there were like labor laws that said like you can only film for this many hours. Like having twins meant that you could kind of rely on one and then make them basically go to a point of exhaustion and then go to the other one and still be kind of on time, which I'm like, Jesus, they put adults through this. Like adults are just like, yeah, I'll film for 14 hours, like that's fine. Like why?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not. Yeah, I'm like,
no,
I can't.
I mean that's the like part of the problem I think like that stemmed from probably the revamping of child, like not just child labor laws, but just like child entertainment labor laws.
Yeah.
Which I still think really need to be like looked over and probably need to be just circumvented. Because I mean, if you remember, like I mean, even early 2000s, they were still very much in a very
infancy stage. I mean, like when I hear about like Boy Meets World, which we'll probably talk about one day, they had the younger sister. The younger sister, she left because she couldn't deal with the schedule. And I'm like, you know what? I don't blame her. I think at the time, I probably would have been jealous and been like, but she was on TV. That's like, top tier. It's a solid income. Like, get over it. Go do. And then just to be like, oh no, I get it. No, you shouldn't put yourself through that. Like, just don't.
Even for a paycheck, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. And again, they put adults through this. Like, it's just kind of like a wow. Like, I can't imagine just being like, oh, 20 hours of filming today. Sure, let's go. All for the paycheck.
It's like just nonstop and sorry.
So, yeah.
Part of it was done in live audiences, so you have like I have to assume like heckling and just like you have various like.
Well, so from Zach to the Future, they talk about how like they would film some scenes without the audience and then have the audience for probably like 4 or 5 hours and then like finish with them and then continue on with filming. Also, like safety features didn't really exist. So there's things where it's like, oh yeah, no, we just slammed him into a wall, and it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't seem like that should be a thing to happen in a TV show.
Yeah, especially nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely not nowadays.
Yeah, the problem like that I've seen, like in terms of just in general, was that I mean, I will say entertainment has like gone down in certain ways, but it also just we're becoming a lot more aware of just how much actors just get put through, not just the ringer, but just destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
like behind the scenes. Like you have press release tours, you have
Oh yeah.
meetings with
Oh,
writers and directors.
right.
Just there's just a uphill and downhill just slope of just ever increasing and devolving kind of like mentality, and then you get to the point where you're an adult.
Right.
Like take the child thing into it, and just you're an adult now that has to, like you've had no time to be a child. Like you were basically an adult.
Right.
That entire period.
Right. And then everyone is still watching you because, there has to be some fan out there who's like, oh my gosh, like whatever happened to them and like what, like let me try and get a hold of them. Let me watch them. I mean, I think that as far as like right now, some of the press stuff is like a little bit better. Because I like people are able to kind of either run or like kind of facilitate in some way their social medias.
Yeah, at least then there's like a way for like not just to mediate things, but just to let them breathe a little bit, just show a little bit of humanity. Like that's the whole thing. Is just back then in the '90s, I would hasten. I'm hesitant to say that they were basically deified, but that's kind of more or less what happened.
Right.
That, like people like Mary Kate Ashley Olsen, like you said, Boy Meets World, a whole bunch of other TV shows, just essentially became like I will say demigods is probably the most apropos kind of descriptor I can give, because they weren't worshipped like gods, but they were basically held on mantles.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And just how can you like live like that in a normal society, and then go into reality, and expect to feel normal?
Right. Yeah. So was there anything with like Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen that you like remember specifically?
So there was that teen show that they had. I think it was like was it All About Me?
Okay.
I completely forgot the name of this one.
I know there was one that was called like something of cards, like House of Cards or something. Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Two of a Kind. Sorry.
Two of a Kind.
Yes. Sitcom called Two of a Kind.
Yes.
Where it was more or less. I guess I would assume like it showed him in a more adult capacity, which gave him some kind of like I would say a broader like spectrum of just like these are. It allowed him to see us as two individual people as opposed to just two twins. Which I mean, I think even as a young person, or even like in terms of media fiction, it's really really easy to just see them as just the same person,
right?
Just copied over,
right?
Other than that, though, I never watched any of the VHS tapes that they ever produced. Like it was like over like Grandma's House We Go, or like that.
Yeah. See, for me, it was like I mean, there's so much with them. There was a Brother for Sale, which I think was a TV show, possibly, or a movie. I think it was a straight to VHS movie, and there was a an album with that. Also, like I was kind of in between their age and like Stephanie on Full House, like her age. And like at times I could relate to like all of them, all of the sisters. At some points I couldn't relate to any of them. But I really did enjoy watching and like watching reruns, I remember. So they were definitely like a part of it. And then it was like then there was the fashion line and the makeup. They did a movie that was in theaters, and it was like a Disney movie, and I can't remember what the hell it was called, but it was like two fashionistas are trying to rule New York, because of course.
So hold on, I'm gonna throw titles. Just see it. Winning
Okay.
London, or I think it's either Winning London, Holiday in the Sun, So Little Time. There's a number of them.
Oh, gotcha.
New York Minute is
A
probably.
New York Minute is probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah, because they were like very fashionable in it, and like, yeah. But I don't even know if I watched it at the time. I just kind of went along. Um, Two controversies that I know of that they were involved with was that there was a countdown to their age of 18.
Yes.
Which that is so fucked up. And so and that was like allowed, and that was okay, to be like they're fucking twins and they're blonde. Like, no, no.
I mean, in all fairness, it wasn't centered just on them. You also
Oh
had,
yeah, no, it's centered on other people. Yep.
Like any like female celebrity
Yeah.
back in the day, like when they got to when they got to enough like popularity, there was a number of countdowns. I do think Mary Kate and Ashley were the most prevalent in that, but it's still
I remember
disgusting.
Yeah. I remember them going on to SNL, and I think one of the last things that they said on like their appearance was, "And we turn 18 in 2 weeks," and then like one kissed the other on the cheek, and I was like, "This is, I mean, you're playing it up, but like maybe you shouldn't. Like that seems a little wrong."
I mean, at a certain point, I feel like you have to have fun with it.
Yes.
Because like people are going to go after this, regardless of whether you want it or not.
Right.
Like in the same token, it's like you can absolutely use it and fuck with people.
Right. So, right. And be like, haha. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's actually I keep watching like a lot of different things about like why no one hires, I think the YouTube channel is like Joe Blow or something like that, and he just does like what the fuck happened to this person, this actor or actress, and Pamela Anderson, it was just like, what, yeah, this terrible stuff happened to her, and she was always going to be seen as this sex object and this blonde bimbo, and so she just kind of was like, all right, well, the only thing that I can really do is play it up, so let's just do it. I'm just going to have fun with it then. If that's what everyone thinks of me, I'm not going to challenge it. Fuck this shit. Fine, I'll be the blonde bimbo then. And like, I think she did have fun with it and joked about it, and even though it was very painful.
Yeah, and look, public's perception of this kind of thing is always going to be an uphill battle, regardless of who you are in that front. Because once once the public has like an image in their head, especially, and part of it is like the media, unfortunately, just really loves to just
they did.
I mean, we've said it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've said it before, like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, like just like all that just media hype for these kind of like individuals becomes next to godlike. So it happened with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
In much the same
way.
Oh God, yeah. He was built up and then just destroyed by it. Now, I will say that much like other celebrities, I don't know if they were immune necessarily, but I would say Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen probably survived it better than anybody.
Yeah.
Mostly through a double barrel of just they've done this for most of their lives, so they have at least a better like mindset about things. I'm also, if from what I remember, I think their parents had like a much like more positive impact on things.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it might be because their family is like a number of actors. Because I do believe like Elizabeth Olsen.
Well, Elizabeth Olsen, but I feel like she got into it like much later. Like they had gotten out of it, and she was like, I'm gonna go in for this now. Like it was like she had been there, and like there's like, oh yeah, so there's Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, and there's an older sister, and then there's like her parents, their parents. And so yeah, it was like I feel like it was like, oh yes, here's Elizabeth Olsen, she is related. Like, oh, okay. So
Yeah, I have to look this up actually. I
yeah,
think there's like
I think they have a little brother or
number of
something.
siblings
Yeah,
actually.
wouldn't be surprised. But I thought that their parents were also a little bit pushy. Yeah, kind of um, with press junkets and that type of stuff. Do you want me to go into the other controversy?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. What was it? I think it was Mary Kate who was like present when Heath Ledger overdosed, and instead of calling the police, she called a bodyguard, and that might have also contributed, unfortunately, to his death. And then um, he was married, so it was like this really weird thing where it was like, why is he at Mary Kate's house in almost the middle of the night overdosing on drugs, But I also understand like that you can't as a celebrity call up and be like, this is Mary Kate Olsen, Heath Ledger is in my bathtub overdosing. Like that like I, if I was dispatched, I'd be like, yeah, haha, and just hang up and be like, fuck you guys,
Yeah, because it does sound very
right?
like it does sound like the prank.
It does sound like a prank. Like, be like, so is Michael Jackson in your closet too? Fuck you, But like, so I get like, there when I first heard about it, I was a little upset. I was like, why? How did you do that? And then it was like, oh wait, no, you can't. It's that weird sphere, of like, well, they're very, high end stars. People recognize that name, you know. You have to almost
Yeah,
call and be like, I have a friend who's unresponsive in the bathtub,
it's a different ecosystem
It
almost.
is,
Like
yeah.
it's terrible that that's what this kind of is, but like that's the truth. It's just this is a separate way that people do things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not much we can really like do about it. Or I mean, the way I have to see it, because
Mm-hmm.
I'll be really honest, I didn't know about this connection. I really did. So this is
Oh,
actually the first
okay.
time I'm hearing about it.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
it's not surprising to me at all,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Because like celebrities are kind of isolated in their own
Yes.
ways. Now,
Yeah.
and to have someone like go through that, I would have to think that there's a number of things that crossed their mind, and more or less, it was. I guess they just probably just a panic moment.
Right.
Like I'm just thinking about it as like a human being. It
Right.
unfortunately, just some people just okay, they would call 911. Most people probably would just be blanked and just think, okay, what do I do? But
Right.
I don't know. I think it's less to do with intelligence on this front because like it's one of those just moments of just like, oh fuck, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna call my assistant.
Right. Call my assistant. Yeah. Just the bodyguard's downstairs. We have to call him. He'll know what to do. You know.
That's all you can really like. Again, we're never gonna know precisely the series of events because, and to be honest, like looking at it back now,
Right.
I don't even think it's fair for the most part because
It's not.
like we don't know the circumstances. We don't know what went through someone's mind or
Mm-hmm.
how they reacted and everything. So it's just like I guess just a leave Britney alone moment. And just like
Mm-hmm. Right. Which like we should have really listened to on that front, but like we didn't, and yeah.
and that's the thing is like I know people are quick to blame celebrities for these kind of like behavior and everything. Like you should be an example. They're human beings. They're allowed to make mistakes. They're
Right.
allowed to they're allowed to live their lives however the hell they want. So it's just give them the chance to actually be human.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. Like my whole thing with celebrities, especially like now as I'm become an adult, is just they're human beings before any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like as much as you want to like keep claiming like they have social responsibilities and all that stuff, which is still valid, but they're human.
Right.
Like these are
Yeah, they're
human
human.
beings.
Well, and so recently I heard that like Nelly Furtado is probably not going to come back for music. Like she might make a couple of appearances per year and that's it. Like she lives a quiet life, doesn't want to put on the makeup, doesn't want to be around people, and I respect it, because like right now she gets to live in a way that like, I was thinking about it today about like how fame just burns people out. It just, you just don't, you just, that's it, you know.
Like why? Like that's the important part is just we have to keep thinking about it. It's like everyone keeps saying, "Oh, I want to be famous. I want to be famous. I absolutely want to be famous. I want to live the life and all that." Have you actually looked between the lines of how a celebrity really lives?
Mm-hmm.
Like take a like for example, the Olsen twins. From birth, literally from their like months old, they've been in the Hollywood industry,
Right.
just basically pushing themselves for the most part, having to basically be moguls for themselves. Because I mean, I don't know how their assistant or their agents, um, how good of a person they are, but like it's. I mean, it's safe to say there's a lot of people that can take advantage of that, especially the children. So for them to survive
Yeah.
through all that, like it's
Yeah.
probably incredibly difficult. And I would say above everything else, they've earned secrecy. They've earned
Yeah.
autonomy
Oh
from the
yeah.
world.
And
Let
yeah,
them have that.
my husband was just telling me that I guess Elizabeth Olsen was asked one time, like, well, why aren't your sisters out here? Like, why did they kind of disappear? And she was like, yeah, because the media kept on, hounding them every fucking single day of their life, and then just I guess walked away from the interview. And I'm like, mic drop, like yeah, and like I tell people I'm gonna be mean if I'm ever famous because like I just don't want many people, you know, trying to get a part of me, or trying to get my attention because it's not the one, it's the thousands, like, and if I have
Yeah.
to be like, oh, I have to be in the house all day because there's a group of people outside that it's either paparazzi or is going to like, want to see me, want to touch me, want to be around my car and like make everything difficult in my life, I'm just gonna be mean, like fuck you guys, you know, like love my fans, but also like no, like let's stop, no, you know. So I looked up Heath Ledger's death. It says there's this website called all that's interesting .com. And so they just did a little write or not a little write up. They did a long write up. And so a masseuse and the housekeeper found um, Ledger unresponsive. And okay, so it says it was eventually revealed that Ledger's masseuse had called actress Mary Kate Olsen shortly after finding his body. Olsen and Ledger were known to be close friends, but some wondered whether she had supplied him with some of the drugs that killed him. Suspicion deepened when Olsen refused to cooperate with the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, um, unless she received immunity. And they found it strange that the actress had sent private security people to Ledger's apartment rather than simply calling the police. Which I'm like, well, as we just explained, why would she call the police and be like, hey, my friend lives at this apartment. Could you send someone over? Because he's saying weird things or whatever.
Yeah, and especially like they more than likely have had like other people tend to this kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like tend to the person, which is not to say they're not lazy. Obviously, that's not the
Mm-hmm.
point. It's just like they probably had people to delegate this kind of thing to,
Right.
and not really have to deal. Especially something as traumatic and just abrupt as someone basically going through this. So
Right.
like cut them some goddamn slack. Like
Right.
what would you do if you were just like in your in this kind of situation? You never really had to do
And
much to interact, and
yeah.
now you have this to deal with.
I mean, I've also been in a situation where one of my friends, so I sleep with do not disturb on my phone. And one of my friends had texted in the middle of the night, and it was scary text. It was basically he was going to like unalive himself, and I like and showed his gun, and just him crying, and I don't live in the same state as him. And so it was very alarming, obviously, when I woke up and saw these things. And like, what am I to do though? Like, I actually didn't know his address, even though we had talked a couple of times. Like, I didn't know anyone in his circle because like we had we had known each other in high school. So like, reconnecting and him being like, I hate my wife, like, there's nothing really I can do, but I have a cool kid. Like, I don't remember anyone's first name, last name. I don't know his wife. I don't know how to get a hold of her. Like, is she even going to be helpful in a situation like this? What do I even do? And like, luckily nothing happened. He was like, yeah, I was having a tough moment. I'm glad you're reaching out now. Like, kind of sorry to scare you. But like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've been in that situation. I'm like, I don't know what I would have done. And you're saying like, yes, like they're allowed to be human, but also like when things are taken care of automatically for them, like who wouldn't they call? Like this, security guard. Hey, could you check on Heath? Like, what the hell is going on? You know.
Yeah, it's the allotment of just situation and just circumstance and looking at the facts objectively. So like it's just giving a moment and just letting this kind of thing breathe. The problem is like from the '90s on, I don't think any of these people have even given a chance or the permission to basically or to make mistakes or
Right. Or to be
I mean
human.
technically that is kind of the trade off though, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we can't just ignore that. They have little to no like private life
No.
once you're in that kind of.
What I always tell people is like fairy tales have been trying to tell us for as long as we've been alive. If you want something, you have to give up something else, you know? And so it like, in fairy tales, it comes down to very simple terms, but like you look at a situation like this and it's like, all right, you can be ultra famous, but you will never have a private life. There's never going to be a chance where you can, you know, just eat something in public and not have someone try to come up to you to give an opinion about what you're eating, how you're eating, who you're eating with, where you're eating, all of that stuff. Like, you will never have a chance to just be in public and have peace like everyone else, you know?
Yeah, and again, we can't emphasize this enough, and it's that Hollywood just it absolutely has become just this unholy place when it comes to just you know people's privacy in general, or just
Mm.
like it's more or less a meat grinder, more so than life, just because you get to this point you're gonna be famous, and you get to be in the public eye and just get all this money and all this wonderful stuff.
Right. Isn't it
But
great?
as a human being, you cannot just look at that and think I'm going to be happy,
I'm
or
going
at
to be
least
happy and I'm going to be happy forever if I just reach that level of fame, you know?
yeah,
And
and just
yeah, I mean, I also think that like, some celebrities are like, I mean, if you live in New York, like the New York way is I'm not going to talk to you unless you need me, So like Rick Moranis can like live wherever he lives. Other than that, like he got, assaulted or whatever. But like no one's going to bother him in that like just walking down the street because you know what, like you're not going to bother anyone unless they ask for help.
yeah,
Yeah, unless you're in like Colorado or Montana, where like some of the famous people live as well, because like you're in a small town and everyone knows that you're in that small town, and you have space, and because you have space, you can see people trying to like get on your property or like trying to get into your house and all of these other things.
yeah, and especially just children, and like we and
Mm.
like I have to keep bringing it up is like the countdown and everything. It's just you have these disgusting people just globbing onto you, just like literally turning your life into their own sick little
Yeah,
pervert show, and
yeah.
just yeah,
And
how
being
can you
like, if
blame
I
just
was there, if I could have a chance with them, like you're never gonna have a chance with them, bro. Like drop the fucking attitude, drop the fucking act. Like it's never gonna be a reality of the situation, and if it was, they would have an NDA. Like go fuck yourself, you know.
Yeah, and it just really speaks to just a level of I don't even know if it's self awareness or just more or less just I don't know. I cannot think that someone look at these people and think I am owed every moment of their time.
Yeah.
And every moment of their lives because they were on TV for 5 minutes and entertained me.
Right.
I don't get what kind of like series of decisions or a mindset creates that kind of.
It's the parasocial relationship, which I'm so glad that we have a word for it now. You know, it's the I know everything about you and I should have access. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just looking back now at like Tiger Beat and the interviews and everything, and just like how like with the paparazzi rags and everything,
Yeah.
just completely just remove all sense of autonomy or privacy or just
they
anything
do
that allows you to just it destroys public trust.
Mm-hmm.
It destroys the ability for a human being to be trusted. And more or less, like, I would not blame celebrities for just completely just pushing aside the rest of the populace. Because, I mean, honestly, the populace, even, like, we're seeing this now more than ever in, like, the microcosm of, like, the internet. If you get famous enough where you just basically just become that, like, level of just, of notoriety and everything, people will grab onto you and just try to hold on to it, or more or less just try to either drag you down or just turn it into like their own personal just shit show.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
really fascinating. Just like people think this is new, like the whole idea of like stalkers or doxing and all this. It's not new. People have been doing this probably for as long as celebrities existed. It's just now you're hearing about it, and it's in a place that you get a faster response to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Amaranth is a perfect example of how this happened, where she's like we said with barbed wire or not barbed wire, sorry, I'm 40 and slip, where Pamela Anderson said she was maybe a sex symbol for the rest of her life,
right?
And well, she played into that. Well, Amaranth is much the kind of the modern day interpretation of that, where she just knows she's hot, no one's gonna take her seriously, so she might as well just play into it. And yet she's still intelligent. Like she is still like a solid business person and just able to just make rational decisions and everything. And I find it insanely fascinating and just sickening that she will get all this attention and all this other stuff, but it's just at the cost of just basically becoming an object.
Right.
Like,
just an object
on a shelf.
Yep, on a shelf.
You might as well be.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And The Simpsons did it. And yep. And I mean, I think of Marilyn Monroe. You know, she was very intelligent. You know, had a very sad background. But yeah, I mean, she, just superstardom, and then basically spit out by, the film industry, and like from my understanding, just like the next young blonde who was going to be in everything was kind of like touted in front of her, like, look at this younger person, they're going to have so much stardom, and like just rubbing her face in it. So, but like it also happened to her, like she was like there was some other actress before her, cannot remember anyone. I'm like, I don't know, like Dietrich maybe, I don't know, who was aging, and then like, then here comes Marilyn Monroe, and then like here comes the next person, and Marilyn wanted more intelligent roles, I believe it wasn't Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, but she did play like a kind of toned down version, of like the like of not necessarily the blonde bimbo. She didn't want to be the bimbo. She wanted to be taken seriously. And, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know if anyone was going to allow her to kind of overcome that, especially after being in Playboy. And what was the other thing? Um, After being in Playboy, after everyone, like, you know, was all interested in her sex life, which I'm like, really, guys? Like, did you have to? And you know, just really becoming a sex symbol. I think that she was also in a Marx Brothers movie, if I'm not mistaken. um she I think that was like one of her first roles, and then she wasn't allowed to do any of that anymore because that like was kind of like against the image, I guess, she was trying to cultivate, or the film industry was trying to cultivate for her. And like, I mean, that also happens to a lot of other people. You know, they get pigeonholed into all of these things where it's just like, this is all that you're allowed to be, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the easiest thing that we can say is that, like, say they with Mary Kate and Ashley, like, at least they were broad enough, and
Mm-hmm.
you know they were the twins, but that still gives them a little wiggle room to be able to do other things. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, Marilyn Monroe, she was typecast as that
Yeah.
for eternity because no one else was. Mostly because no one allowed her to basically just
Yeah.
show she was an eligible being.
And I mean, that still happens today too. With the
Yes.
contract with Kesha, you know, she's not making any music because the not film industry, the Sony won't. I believe it's Sony won't let her get out of her contract um uh, after her producer abused her, and also like won't let her do anything that she wants to do. She doesn't want to make party girl music. She wants to make other music, and they're still pigeonholing her into that, you know. And so
See,
it's
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
right,
Because Sony music is notoriously like shit.
right. It's
Because
the whole Prince thing, you know. The all right, well, I'll
I
just
mean,
be
not
a
just
symbol.
Prince.
Fuck you, you know.
I mean, it's
Like,
not just Prince. It's just in
yeah,
general. Sony music is like so many like different. Just there's so many horror stories with that
yeah.
whole fucking outlet that just I'm surprised no one's
Right.
called them out.
I'm so glad that there's independent labels, because like the shit that any of those singers are put through, and then it's like, well, it's almost indentured slavery where they're just like, well, we did put you in a hotel room, so that means that you get, you know, $500 less because of that, and we did get you onto a tour, so you get $10,000 less because of that. And you know, like, we do have the rights to your music, so you get, you know, $20,000 less because we have that, you know. And good luck trying to make your music any other place because too bad for you, you know.
Yeah, because we own the monopoly. We're the monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're gonna ensure that you never fucking get a chance to do anything else. So.
Right. So I mean, I guess it's good that like the twins didn't get into like too much of the what you call it of the like music part. But I mean, there is kind of like there is kind of this thing of just being like, well, they had to straight to VHS, you know, um like movies, which I'm like, I guess would the equivalent now would be like straight to D-list streaming, you know, like not advertised as well. You really got to look for it. You may have heard about it, maybe on like maybe their wiki page, which people are watching, you know, like, oh, they did this thing, I should probably watch that, and it's like hidden, you know.
I don't know, just like we really have come to the point where it's just we're really just the microcosm of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just on your internet, and just like, you have to understand, like, think that in the past this was worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was so much worse in the past because like they wouldn't have had outlets. They wouldn't have had like Twitter
No.
or Discord or even things that like really um, allow them to just express themselves without any like fear of that. They had basically themselves.
Right. Yeah, they only had themselves. They sometimes they're not directly interacting with people unless they're in public. You know, yeah, like they're insulated, you know. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Sorry, I heard a noise in the background and I was like, what is there like
Oh,
a
that's my dog.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, that sounds like a dog on a chew toy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But yeah, like that's all we can really say is just they'll. I don't think it's ever gonna stop.
No.
Like I think it's too profitable of a system. It's
Mm-hmm.
too well ingrained in the public persona to basically just continually raise these people up from obscurity and just turn them into like the golden calf essentially
Yeah. The
to
meal
try to
ticket.
distract everyone, and then
Yeah.
just dash them to the ground so that way they get that one little bit like out of them
Yeah.
from their outrage and from their destruction, which is just it's disgusting and sickening, and yet it will just keep happening because we just allow it. Like it happens with movie celebrities, TV celebrities. It
Yep.
happens with fucking football
YouTube
stars.
celebrities. Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Niche celebrities. Yeah.
And it's a never ending fucking cycle.
It really is. Yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, like, I feel like we're getting to the end of the topic because it's just kind of like, yeah, we got there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because like, I think that the end story is like Mary Kate and Ashley just are an example of the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they escaped that
Yeah.
kind of formula. I mean, I'm not unscathed, obviously. Because,
right.
Like I said, like there's gonna be levels that we're not gonna be aware of, and more or less we're just gonna be just out of that kind of circle.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
they, for the most part, at least didn't fall into the scam. Was it God, the kid who played Anakin Skywalker back in the day?
Oh right, yeah, he fell into drugs and
Jake Boyd. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
He basically, like I said, took drugs. He ran his car into something, and then his life got destroyed basically from being a child star. You know,
right.
I mean,
and a good actor. That was the problem. Like he was such a good actor too, like in his role, and that's it. Like people hated him because of like his character, which also happened to the older brother on. Oh my god, the Wonder Years. He is still seen. He is like 40 years out from like all of that happening, and he's like, yeah, people are still mad at me for being mean to little Kevin Arnold. It's like, God, like people have to kind of get over it. But like he played such a good adult brother bully that like people are still mad at him.
Yeah, I mean, I think nowadays it's become less of an issue. I'm praying it is. I'm mostly saying like that because I just remembered. Oh wait, human beings just don't learn off the top of their.
And yeah,
I can hope. I can
right.
pray. I can give them the benefit of the doubt, but like, it's one of those things where you just have to hope that they can just look beyond themselves. But
right, but I mean, like, there's no way to be a celebrity without people.
Yeah.
So like
someone has to deify them.
Right. Someone has to, and it has to not be 10 people, because that's a cult. Well,
that's what's happening. That's kind of what's happening with Jared Leto for the most part. He kind of has that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that whole thing. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I mean, we can definitely. There's so many things where I'm like, we need to talk about Boy Meets World, and we need to talk about My So-Called Life, and we could talk about the Wonder Years, and we could talk about, all of these things.
We have plenty of time.
We do. Yeah. So
but
yeah.
I mean, all we can say about Mary Kate and Ashley is, I'm glad you survived it. Dear God, am I sorry for the years of old men just
being perverted.
Over the years. Yeah. And I'm really, really hoping that you've made it through this unscathed. And I don't think anyone. I'm giving you the hope that someone is not blaming you for all that, and I'm not at all just trying to be facetious. So please just live your life as best you can, and just stay out of limelight. Like your sister's doing fine in the Avengers. Like just do what you're doing. And,
and obviously Elizabeth Olsen is also like older. She got in a little bit later, and obviously has her sister's backs, which is like great.
yeah, that's the wonderful part. Is
Yeah.
just like they are at least in the ballpark of trying to keep a civil face and just let their sister have her time. And I think that's the important part is that if if the Olsen twins did show up to her sister's premieres and all that, I feel like it would take away from that in
Yeah.
some small way.
That's got to be unfortunate to be like, we're so famous that if we show up, it'll cast a shadow onto like our, the actual person who's continuing to be in the industry.
But I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Just they could easily do that, but I mean, at this moment, I feel like there's a good solid repertoire, and it doesn't feel like it's like because there's a bunch of Hollywood families that obviously just take advantage of each other and just do shitty things behind their backs, but like in public, it's like, oh, we're all happy and wonderful. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just I think this is probably one of those few exceptions where the family is on good terms, and I'm hoping to keep it that way.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that like nice summary. Yes. So we'll make plans for next week hopefully, or if not next week then probably 3 weeks, because things life, and yeah, we'll
That terrible thing called life.
that terrible thing that we're in the middle of right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Just spoke on the real. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that we're in the middle of, and yeah, so we'll be back soon. And thanks for everyone who listens, likes, subscribes, comments, all of the good things. I do check to see what's been going on that page. So yeah, it's very cool. All right, well, we will talk with you soon.
Yes, please stay safe.
Yes.
Be good to each other and love all that is good and crispy. Just remember, you don't need to put your siblings through hell.
True.
The world will do that for them.
That's true. It's so true. All right. Good night, everyone.